Hi everyone, and welcome back to the YouTube channel. So here's another handy tip for you. Handrails have to have a return that goes back to the wall. Now, if you're not familiar with this, this is a safety, it's code, it's a hazard problem for trips and falls. And here's why. A lot of times people will have, say, a longer sweater, a bag, a woman with a dress or a child. They could end up getting caught on these, and it doesn't matter. In the past, we've always cut these on an angle so that it's pointed downwards, and that does help some. This kind of helps better having it on a 45-degree angle facing the wall, but what you actually have to have is a return piece. Now, for me, this is a 3-inch piece that's going to make the connection just like this so that it is going back to the wall. Then there is no grabbing it and missing where someone, maybe with bad vision could fall. I actually just had a home inspection, and this was a fail item on my home inspection. When I bought this house, it didn't have a handrail at all. And I had one screw that had stripped when I installed this because I did not pre-drill my holes. And with it being a hard wood, it made the brass screw strip out. So if you ever have that happen, your local hardware store, big boxes sell them in giant bags, but these are about 50 cents a piece at our local hardware store. Now, they're really great on prices for some things, but for individual screws, they are not. You could probably get a bag of 20 for 50 cents, say at Home Depot or Menards. So for me, it worked out really good. We had a lot of extra length at the end of the handrail. Now, another thing that you need to know is you have to have a handrail at least going from your step edge or your riser straight up to the edge. So as you can see, after cutting mine, I still had, probably 12 inches total left. Now at the top, I had a slightly different issue. Up here, we actually had the handrail coming to about here. Because of the inside edge of the handrail, it was butting right up to here. So I had to take this whole bracket out. Now, a home inspector will note if there's marks or flaws on the wall also. So I'm going to have to fill these holes and move the bracket down. Now, I'm kind of torn with, replacing the old hardware because I've painted over it over time and it's just cheap gold brass. Everybody likes something different, so I'm more or less meeting code, not being so concerned with the aesthetics of it at this point because for the most part they don't get seen. This is going to go further down on the wall, no problem there. Again, we'll put another return up here, so I had to cut it and back it off. I'll line that up so that it is going to clear right here. So in some cases, you may have to slide this down or just scrap your original mounting holes. So here you can see I had one where it was attached to the wall. That won't be any problem at all. So that's going to create the return. So you might be wondering, well, how do I attach that or make it stay? So if you're not familiar, this is where Mom shines. I figure out how to do it and I get it done. Well, what you're going to need to do is use wood glue. You can use an epoxy, but that's just going to help seal your edge. And you don't want it squeezing and dripping out. So I've got some Titebond 2 glue. You can use Elmer's wood glue. You can use no glue at all. It does not matter. The main thing is that I'm coating this around the edges, and it's just going to help create that bond around the edges and seal it. Now, a good thing to do is to pre-drill a hole through the edge here. We're going to be putting some finish nails. Now, finish nails come in a lot of different sizes. Let me show you a couple just up close. So here is a 2.5 inch finish nail. Here's a 2-inch nail. I've got some 3.5s, and this one is about 1.5 inches. So at the very edge, going into here, there's a chance that you could split this wood. So pre-drilling it with a drill helps, but with a smaller finish nail, it's not so prone to splitting, but I have had thin wood split when I've done that before. So you can see I've got my mounting brackets slightly loose right now so that I can have that room to get in here and do this. So I'm just going to line that up, and if you're comfortable, it's good to start your nails with it not mounted to the wall if you need that. But I really would like to try to get 2 in here. So I'm just starting the nail. I'm not setting it quite yet. And what I've done is I cut this on a miter saw at 45 degrees. Now, if you don't have a power miter saw, you can do this with a hand miter saw, which is in general what I use most. So I'm just kind of feeling with my thumb to make sure it's flush right here. And I want this to go straight. Now that is some hardwood, and it is not driving in very good right now. So I'm going to look around and see what I've got for drill bits. So the trouble I'm actually ending up having is these nails are too soft for this hardwood, and I don't have a drill bit handy. So let's take a break for a second and rethink this. So you just want to make sure that you line this up good so that when your nails go in, that it's not off, because then you're going to end up having a rough spot. Now you can take some sandpaper or wood filler and smooth out any rough edges, but you definitely want it as smooth as you can and get that nice tight 45-degree angle. So what I'm doing right now is lining it up. Wipe off that excess glue. And line it up some more, and I'm shooting it on an angle to get that 1-inch nail where I want it. You hear that deep thud? That's a good indicator that you're making great contact. That is great. Nice and tight. All right, see that? No wiggle, nothing. All right, so now I'm using some of those brand new screws that I got. I actually found a shorter, finer thread screw that I didn't use from another job. You need a wood screw. I ended up switching to this nailer because I am working at a house in another town than where I live. My tools are everywhere. So this little 50-cent soft brass screw won't go through this hardwood very well, just like the finish nails wouldn't. And I knew that I had my nailer here and a crown stapler, so I just went ahead and grabbed the air compressor and grabbed those to do the job. Now I pre-drilled these holes out for the new bracket spacing with that finer thread screw. Because that's the kind of stuff that happens. You end up whacking your finger or something, and anything you can do to get things pre-drilled will help. This is one of those things that an apprentice is really good to have on hand. Being your wife, your husband, your kids. There's no better way to learn things than by being involved doing it. So I had one loose screw here, and that's where the inspector said the handrail needs to be tightened. You've got to make sure that you're into a stud on the wall or just a very hard wall. Now this is an old plaster wall, and finding studs is not an easy thing to do, but with the length of screws that we have, they're like 2-inch maybe, it's not going anywhere. I had a very large roommate with me when I lived here, and she really used the handrail hard to pull herself up the stairs. So one loose screw is nothing. So see that? Pretty tight. The whole thing's not going anywhere. But this is, you hear it stripping out where it goes click, 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 click. That's like the clutch. So you can get it tighter with a screwdriver and get that last like half a turn or whatever in there. So I'm just going to grab a screwdriver real quick. See that? Just that little bit of play. All right, now she's on there good. So you can do this stuff with no power tools at all. You could see I was having trouble because having that pre-drilled hole to attach these helps a lot. I used 1-inch brad nails, and this is a brad nail. It's just flat on the end. It's just like a finish nail, and this is what contractors or builders use. They have all switched to any kind of pneumatic nailer because it is fast, it's efficient, and you're not spending time going back and countersinking holes and having to fill them so much. In general, most of this building stuff, they just leave that as it is with no filler. Now, had I used my crown staple nailer, it's a U-shaped deal, just like that. And it basically leaves about the same amount of hole. Not terrible bad. I can live with this the way it is. Let me turn it around and show you up close. These are available just about anywhere. You can buy them at Harbor Freight for like 15 bucks. They have 20% coupons and things like that all the time. I bought these to be able to do trim work. You can see the kitchen here on the other side. I had plywood built, stick built in place cabinets, and I bought 1-inch by like a 1/4 inch or an 1/8 inch lattice, trimmed that around, and used these 3/4 brad nails and the crown staple nails to go around there and do that, and it completely changed how the kitchen looked. So you can use these tools more than once is what I'm getting at. So that little bit of play that I had before, I no longer have because I put in some new screws and ran that new screw in a little deeper to make sure and then back it out. When I did this before, I didn't have the drill. I only had it with hand tools, and so you can see that's what happened. So now we're on a full pass here with this being acceptable with the return and no jiggling. As far as the joint, I did glue it with that Titebond wood glue, and I just brushed it on, wiped away any excess, and you can see that tiny little bit. That's from the brad nailer. Just a tiny, tiny little hole. Now down at the bottom, my finish nail, I think it is probably a 6D. It was bending. So I have a bigger hole that's more noticeable here than what that brad nailer left right there. So I'm real pleased with that. This particular brad nailer that I'm using is Performax. It's available through Menards. I will put a link if there's one available through Amazon or something similar to it, because it's real handy to be able to order this stuff and just have it show up at your door. One of the tricks I do that I will pass along to you is I have Verizon for my cell phone service, and every month I get a $3 like Verizon perk or reward, and I always turn that into an Amazon gift card. You just have them send it to you through an email. You go register that link code that they give you on your Amazon account, and it just sits there until you're ready to order something. So a lot of times I will have several months of that $3 credit sitting on my Amazon thing, and to turn around and order, you know, something that is $15 to $30 is great. So my stapler is a Tool Shop brand from Menards, and the brad nailer is a Performax. Each one was $25 to $30, $40. Real handy to have, so I highly suggest having something like that as a homeowner, a repair person. If you flip furniture or anything like that, it's handy to have because you can use them in upholstery and furniture repairs too. So that's it for today, everybody. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.